would now move on, and we would go to the second topic that we would be discussing, and we would have Mr. Mohammed Jagana as the presenter.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I was in Abidjan to attend a regional summit. So when you go for the summit, they attach you a driver, hotel. So I told the driver, look, I want to go out and eat local food. He took me to this nice posh restaurant. I said, my friend, look, come. Can you afford to eat here? He said, no. I said, I want to go and eat what the Ivorians would eat. So he was a little bit uncomfortable because my title was the president of the Chamber of Commerce, blah, blah, blah. I said, look, come. So I took out my phone and Googled Achake. So on TripAdvisor, they recommended Cocody Market. I'm not sure how many of you have been to Abidjan, but Cocody Market is the local market. So I told the driver in my French, as my kids would say, Français Chokuchaka, est-ce que je vous vois à Cocody Market pour manger Acheke? He was like, pardon, Cocody Market. I said, my friend, forget it. My French is not good, but I want to go to Cocody Market. So we went to Cocody Market, sat down, ordered Acheke and Aloko, nice fish, both of us. It was nice. I said, how was this? He said, it's fantastic. I told him, look, this is what I call local content. Globally, when we talk about local content, people tend to focus on oil and gas, multi-million-dollar investments, multi-billion-dollar projects. But then local content could be looked in the contribution in how indigenous capacity, wealth is created. And it cannot be created without a policy framework that would include the small, medium-sized women and youth businesses. Because when we talk about local content, we talk about the oil drilling, the gas, the highway, the major, projects that come into a country. But what about digital economy? How can we frame our policy to make sure that local content would embed youth businesses that are in fashion, education, sports, using technology to sell their products? I have an interesting quote about wealth, and I want to connect it to local content. Wealth is created and carried by ideas and relationships more than transactions. So the idea today is, how do we develop a local content policy that would factor the big investments that are coming in, that would factor the small, medium size, the youth businesses Halimas talked about, making sure that indigenous participation is factored into it. I know some of the policies are a little bit challenging, but I think positions like this would allow us to debate it, to help us reform government's idea of what we need to understand about local content. And I'm glad that the Secretary General is being represented here. It's the highest office in terms of the civil servants, to carry our message back to the government. We've seen what Mustafa has done with his projects. Quite a lot of us follow him because of the little young businesses he tried to groom out of his projects. I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to talk about this, but I chat with TAF a lot. And the example I use about local content is Mustafa Jigo. Jigo was started by being subcontracted by TAF. But today, he's also built an enterprise that is good enough to compete internationally and locally and build great projects in Gambia and beyond. So these are the essence we need when we talk about local content. Papa Yusunjai is a local content. But today, he's doing business outside the Gambia and beyond our borders. So when we talk about local content, we need to look at how do we strengthen the capacity of indigenous businesses so that they can compete at an equal playing field. Foreign direct investment is interesting, but then how do we make sure that when that foreign direct investment comes in, a local component or made in the Gambia is factored into it? And by the way, for all of you that are here, the Women Leadership Forum, in partnership with Chamber of Commerce, are going to organize a forum. Is it 29th? 29th at Paradise Suites, and they're going to be talking about Made in Gambia. So I look forward to seeing you there, and let's continue the discussion. Thank you. Since I started with food, I'll close my remarks with food. Not that I'm giant or Jobian or Cha. No, actually, I was in Nigeria and I was talking to some friends regarding jollof rice. So I took out a photo of Ida when she was in Nigeria with the Gambia Tourism and the beautiful presentation she did with the jollof rice. I told them that you can have fake news, but this is the original jollof rice. Coming back to the points raised, I think they're very valid, and I'm not sure whether we'll have enough time to discuss all of these things. But in my own perspective, when I talk about local content, I'm talking about the minimum contribution indigenous participation can get involved in internal projects. Globally, we're part of a global village and we expect to compete at a certain level. But somehow we need to be able to design our policies and frameworks to make Gambia competitive. Some of it might be because of the projects or how government implements certain things. For example, my favorite example about lack of coherence between the private sector and the public sector is the design of the GCAP CEO? GCAF. It was a World Bank project. If you're involved in agriculture, they'll pay a consultant to come and tell you how to grow better tomatoes. But they will not help you have a borehole or a greenhouse that would make you produce better quality tomatoes. So I'm like, look, what is the purpose? You're giving me money for an international firm to come and tell me to grow better tomatoes for tourists in Gambia, you need to do X, Y, Z. But you will not help me build the capacity, build the local content, so that I can have my own greenhouse, so that I can deliver the quality food that is needed in the tourism sector, so that the $12 million leakage Kebe talked about would be sorted. Regarding the National Business Council, Ismaila, yes, we have one stone that kills two birds. We have Umi Sise there representing not only the women but also the youth entrepreneurs. I think she's one of the youngest people on the National Business Council. I think also Joy from the University of Gambia mentioned something that is very important. It's our story. Let's narrate it. If I'm going to talk about my story, I'm better off to tell you what I'm doing. But if somebody else is narrating another story that nobody understands, then the Gambian business is not being well represented. And I think that's one of the challenges we have. We do not talk about our local indigenous entrepreneurs. So our stories are not being told. So we need to create the narration. So I think because of time, we cannot get all these points sorted. But I'll stop there, and I thank you all for coming since we're running out of time, and we'll move on to the next session. Thank you.